Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans, the best damn movie-related show on the internet. My name is John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News. Joining me, first of all, let me run down the progressive line here. First of all, she's the editor of movie news here at AMC Movie News, Ms. Amirose Eisenbach.
Hey, guys.
Sitting beside her, she is one of our entertainment correspondents for AMC, Miss Erin Darling.
Hello.
The production manager for AMC, Mr. Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone. First time on the couch.
And a regular contributor and director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, Mr. John Schnepp.
What's going on? What happened, everybody?
So, obviously, this is a little bit of a different show today. We have we brought basically the whole crew in. Chris Lee, unfortunately, is in New York covering a junket for us right now. But I don't know if you heard. This is kind of obscure, but some of these small little news sites, you have to really know what you're doing and know the landscape to hear, are reporting that Ben Affleck is Batman. So we thought, you know what, forget everything else in the world of movie news, because nothing else really exists in the world of movie news today. Today is about Ben Affleck being Batman, and we just thought we would talk about this and what it could mean and the fan reaction, stuff like this. But Schnepp, let me start with you. I called you. I found out. Let's see, the news broke, I believe it's 6:13 p.m. You and I were on the phone at 6:31 and doing a video at 6:35. Just quickly, your instant the first reaction you felt when I told you that Ben Affleck was Batman.
I looked at my calendar and I was like, is it April Fool's? Am I seriously, I thought it was a joke. Like the very first thing was like, some weird rumor's gone through and it's a joke, because he's the furthest person in my head to be cast as Batman. And then as I looked at some of the sites right when we were getting ready to do the show, I was like, wow, it actually makes a lot of sense. And my whole opinion about it it sunk in. I'm really into it now.
You know, it's funny that you say that it would have been the first thing from your mind. I think on the little special video you and I did, I have to throw this in. That special little video you and I did, I said, who saw this coming? Well, then a bunch of you guys emailed comments or sent comments in saying, well, actually, John, you did. I'm like, what? And they sent me this link. And 3 weeks ago, Erin and I and Dennis did a video, and we're just going to show you this little clip of something that I may have predicted 3 weeks ago. But if you're going to go that way, you're right. It brings up the names like Carl Urban. But I can guarantee you this, Dennis. I was telling this to Erin off screen. I guarantee you, Warner Brothers, the very first person they've called about this is Ben Affleck. I guarantee you he was the first person they called. I highly doubt he would take it. But Affleck is a golden child for Warner Brothers right now. So I don't think he's going to take it at all, but I think he's the first guy. Okay, so once again, we learn the valuable lesson. I'm always right. 60% of the time. I'm right all the time. Anyway, Dennis, I couldn't reach you last night. But your Twitter and everything was blown up last night. Your reaction when you heard that Affleck was Batman.
I mean, I was really surprised, but at the same time wasn't shocked because of all those Justice League news that came out several months ago about how
a year ago.
Yeah, about him directing Justice League and him possibly playing Batman in that. So this is kind of it was surprising just because after he turned it down, I just didn't think we'd ever hear about it again. But when it came back up again, I was like, oh wow, oh wait, that makes a lot of sense. And I honestly didn't hate it. I don't hate it. I mean, I'm not jumping up and down. He's not my first choice, but he's a really good actor, Yeah. So. I have an open mind.
Erin, how about you?
Well, when I heard this news, it broke at 6:13. At about 6:16, I was sitting at a table with a whole bunch of other movie hosts and journalists, and we're all sitting there, and we find out about this news together, and everyone immediately just like on their phone. And it was so funny. I tweeted out this picture. It ended up being featured in The Hollywood Reporter about all of our reactions, and all of our reactions were just silence. Everyone was freaking out. I have to say that I don't love this idea. I wanted Jim Caviezel so bad to be Batman, you guys. And I'm a little surprised because I don't see him as a Bruce Wayne or a Batman. And to me, that's kind of problematic, I think, in terms of casting. But he's an actor. This is what he does. And I don't put it past him to be able to pull something out. And again, we haven't seen the script. So I don't know what kind of Batman we're getting. Are we getting a brooding Zack Snyder, Man of Steel kind of character? Or are we getting a super action hero? I'm not really sure what we're going to see. So only time can tell.
Amirose?
I was at a dinner party, and my friend at WB actually hit me up, and she wrote, Ben Affleck, ? And I was just like, knew immediately. I didn't have to ask, what? It's like, oh dear, like, here we go, let the debate begin, because there's always going to be half people who are like, this is a great idea, and half the people who don't. So I definitely was at this dinner party and pretty much became antisocial for the next 2 hours, just surfing the net, doing everything, posting, tweeting, all of the news, because this is definitely what we've been waiting for. I mean, how many times on the show have we discussed who should be Batman, you know, for this reason or that reason? And so it definitely, it's big news. I wasn't even supposed to be in today, but I was not about to miss this. This is big time.
You know, it's funny because I think about, you know, we get like 1,000 emails every week for AMC Movie Talk, and at least 20%, at least 200 of those questions every week are, what do you think about this guy as Batman? And what do you think about this guy as Batman? So I don't know what they're going to ask about now. I remember I first read it, first was shock, because honestly, I didn't think they were going to make any announcement for another month or two. I really didn't. First was shock, and then was jubilation. I love this casting. I think this casting is brilliant for a number of reasons. Number one, like you guys pointed out, he is a solid actor. You know, it's funny, when I read the people who are negative on this, and I got to be honest with you, there are fewer people negative about this than I thought there would be. Because when we put our video up announcing the news, I expected like 1,000 likes, maybe 600 dislikes, but it's more like 1,500 likes, 200 dislikes. So there's a more positive reaction to this than I thought there would be. But the people who are detracting it just can't seem to get over movies that were 10 years ago, like Daredevil.
Or Paycheck, they're going to bring.
Or
Paycheck.
Paycheck.
Geely.
Jersey Girl, right?
I like Jersey Girl.
But that's most of the films a lot of people are going to jump up and down on, right? And they're completely ignoring, well, let's see. What movie won Best Picture last year, and who was the lead actor in it? Oh, Ben Affleck.
That's why I wasn't that
Yeah.
surprised about it, to be honest. Like, I was surprised because months of just question, finally it's over. Like, that was my biggest shock.
Weird, right?
It's weird.
It's like, what?
But
There's no more speculation.
WB is in the Ben business. They really are.
Yeah.
Like, not only did he win, you know, Best Picture for them with Argo, he also, with The Town, he made them a lot of money. And
The Town was so good.
It was so good, and he's really turned his career around. And they're also distributing his next, what is it, By Night?
I was just looking
by
at
night.
it. I was just looking
Film
at
by
it.
Night? Is that what it's
can't
called?
remember. I don't
His
think
next
it's titled, but-
directorial effort. And
Quickly
they're also
show a picture of the film.
Yeah,
Show the
that's also
poster.
coming out from Warner Brothers, so it makes sense to me. And obviously, like the Justice League rumor that we heard a year ago, it kind of reinforces everything we've said before. Of they probably had this locked a long time ago. Ben Affleck has probably been Batman for a while, at least for Comic-Con.
Oh, I've noticed. That's what we said coming out of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I said, you know, I have a feeling coming out of Comic-Con, when Zack Snyder made the announcement that they were doing Batman versus Superman, I said, I think they know who their Batman is already. I think they knew who their Batman was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, when you think about his acting in The Town, he played a really dark, brooding kind of character.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When I started thinking about that showed me that he can play Batman.
Yeah,
You know,
that's-
I mean, it's a change of an accent. It's a little, you know, a little bit of a 180, but I think he's going to be great as Batman, and now he's going to be Batman in the new Batman trilogy. He's going to be Batman in Justice League 1, 2, and 3. So I'm sure he signed like that Sam Jackson, Nick Fury kind of contract. Like, yo, son, you're not escaping. You know, you get a movie, then you do a movie for us. So I bet he's going to get his own independent films
Oh,
funded
yeah.
for 10 years.
And
He's
maybe
got
he'll
Ben
direct
Affleck
those
movies.
too.
That's
Maybe
what
he'll
I'm
direct
saying,
Justice
yeah.
League. He'll
And
have
he's a
his
great
finger on the
director,
pulse.
So
He is.
who wouldn't want him to, like, you know, maybe he's like, I don't want to direct the Batman movies, bring in someone else, but I'll direct the Justice League.
Yeah,
Or
he
maybe
is
he'll
a
direct the
great
Flash.
director.
Who knows, you know?
I think it's weird though, like some of the comments, people saying that, I had mentioned that, yeah, he's a really good actor, but a lot of people don't think so. Like there's some backlash in terms of his acting ability. I mean, I understand he kind of has he still kind of gets crap for the whole Bennifer thing, you know, and the
Sure,
Geely thing
yeah.
and stuff like that. But there's certain people that just can't get past that and don't recognize how good of an actor he is.
Yeah,
Like,
my argument to them is always this, and I had some online debates last night, because it's always productive to get involved in online
Yes.
debates. But, you know, people would say, you know what, the guy can't act. I say, okay, so then one of two things here. You either never saw Changing Lanes, Hollywoodland, The Town, and Argo, or you did see them and you have no clue what you're talking about. It's one of those two options. Which is it? If you say he can't, the guy can clearly act. Directors love working with this guy. He knows the film business. He knows how to do all this stuff. I think he's a wonderful actor. And the other thing too that The Town showed us was, and he's bigger now than he was in The Town. He is a beast. He is bigger than Christian Bale ever was. He is a physical beast. Now, some people also raise the argument, say, well, you know, I thought we wanted a Batman who could fight. Look, whatever you think of Daredevil, which I still think you take out that god-awful teeter-totter scene, I thought it was a pretty okay movie. But whether you like or dislike Daredevil, the action, the fight choreography and all that stuff was way superior than anything we've seen in the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, it just was. And we all kind of admit that in the Dark Knight trilogy, as fantastic as it was, that the fight choreography and the Batman fighting, it was not the best. So I think we got a big upgrade there. Is Ben Affleck an upgrade as an actor to Christian Bale? No. Christian Bale's an Academy Award-winning actor.
Yeah.
There's not an upgrade there. But I think he's probably a better actor than any of the other names that were being thrown out there as serious contenders.
I don't know about that.
As long as he doesn't do the Christian Bale, I'm Batman, like the gravelly voice with his tongue sticking out. Because I think he is kind of an upgrade. To me, thinking about it over the last day, I was like, you know, we've had Christian Bale for 10 years, and I think he's great.
A great Batman.
And I love him as an
Great
actor.
Batman,
He's great
yeah.
in Equilibrium. He's incredible in The Machinist. He's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one's arguing that. But his portrayal of Batman became grating to me. And, you know, it's public knowledge I hated The Dark Knight Rises. And if it isn't, now it is. I hate that movie. But I think Ben Affleck, hopefully he does Batman different.
So are you saying you want to have a Batman movie where you can actually understand the dialogue?
I want to understand him as
Okay.
Batman.
You're just being unreasonable now. That's
Well, okay, like I know that
You're asking for too much.
we don't want that
Right.
that grunt the Christian Bale voice, but I do think he needs to change his voice in some way.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
No doubt.
he can't be Ben Affleck's voice as Bruce Wayne. Fine,
And heavy
but-
Boston accent.
but as Batman,
I
he
actually
needs
am into
something
that.
different.
Where's the Joker?
Because that's not going to be intimidating at all.
I think it'd be hard for anyone to follow in the footsteps of Christian Bale, even though
Sure,
some of
yeah.
his acting choices were irritating to some people. I have to say he's so talented, and I loved him as Batman. I think that
I
anyone
did
that
too.
steps into that role is going to receive a little bit of fan backlash.
I think
It's
that's
going
why
to be
Ben
hard.
Affleck is so interesting, because he is going to bring such a different Batman. And I think that's really important, because no matter what, people are going to compare the properties, the Batman, the pictures they're in. But I do think that brings, a very interesting point. And Ben Affleck is talented. Ever since he stepped behind the lens, he has improved so much in front of it. I think
Great
just
point. Yeah.
he really has. He's just, ever since he's been a director, I think he just tapped into that, and he's really turned around his career, and people love working with him. Can you imagine if he does direct Justice League, what actors would be attracted to this now that Ben Affleck is a part of it? So
Yeah.
I think he's a really talented actor. I'm definitely not like, why, Daniel Craig when he was first Bond, the Joker, Heath Ledger, everyone always,
Michael
jumps on that
Keaton
train.
as Batman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been my first choice either, but I'm not upset by it by any means. There's a certain edge that I want my Batman to have, and I don't know if he has it.
I agree with you completely. That's how I felt about it too. I see him as kind of like America's sweetheart, like the male version of that, of like a Julia Roberts. It's kind of how I view him.
I think what Schnepp brought up earlier, I think the town dispels that, or at least should alleviate those worries at least a little bit. I think he did start to show us a little bit of that. But to piggyback on what you were talking about, Erin, when you mentioned that, stepping in to replace Christian Bale is going to be tough for a couple reasons, because Christian Bale did great as Batman. But the other thing is, too, the truth is, a lot of fans can be very narrow-visioned. Because all they seem to see or remember is what they've already had. We've kind of had this debate about, I'm sure back in the days, like nobody else can play Bond other than Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Then nobody else can play Bond other than Sean Connery. Nobody else can play Bond other than Pierce Brosnan. Nobody else can play Bond. And then constantly we see that they can. But let's talk about Heath Ledger.
Right.
Now, there's been, I've seen online in the past 24 hours a lot of revisionist history. People saying, well, no, people didn't really mind that much when Heath Ledger
They
was
did.
cast.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I spent a couple hours doing this morning? I went to Ain't It Cool News, to some of their old archives. I pulled up a bunch of graphics of chat boards, and looking at chat boards, everybody hated Heath Ledger's casting, because number one, we had a little bit of that he was stepping into the shoes of Jack Nicholson, who was loved as the Joker.
He was
It's a-
the clown Joker, though.
Yes,
Heath was like
different, but
Joker.
everybody loved him. So it was like, and they were saying, "You're getting Brokeback Boy," or "You're getting 10 Things I Hate About You," or
Ever.
you're getting
I love that
this
movie.
guy. You're getting and everyone's saying, and it's like comment after comment of, "I will never see this movie,"
Yeah.
and DC just ruined Batman again, and on and on
Yeah.
and on, because everybody thought that they knew best. Everybody thought they knew better. And even I'm going to admit right now, I didn't love the casting of Heath Ledger when it happened at all, because I thought, and I still believe that Heath Ledger was a very hit and miss. When he hit, he was awesome, Brokeback Mountain, Joker. When he missed, he really missed. But, they saw something, and they knew that that was what was going to work. And I think we just need to step back a little bit and go, okay, wait a minute. They casted this guy. This guy has 2 Oscars on his shelf. Granted, neither of them for acting, although he has a number of significant acting nominations. And just say, okay, well, you know what? He's physically huge. He's a big guy, and he's done action before. He's very good at action. He's the right age. There are just so many things about this that I like. I can understand some people thinking issues of fit, and some people complaining because, you know what? I watch him in Argo, and I think he does this well, and I don't know that fits. I get that. I do. I totally understand that perspective. But this perspective of, what, the guy who did Geely? That's just ignorance.
Anne Hathaway, Catwoman.
Nobody liked.
Yeah.
I didn't like Anne Hathaway.
I did not like that at
I
all.
didn't
She
either,
was the
but then
best part
again,
of the movie.
She was
I didn't like her in the movie.
Guys,
I did.
Oh, you did?
I loved
I
her.
loved her.
in it.
Bring
No.
up one casting thing that, Nicolas Cage as Superman. So, like, I'm doing an entire feature film documentary about this casting decision that still people are like, oh, I just can't see it. And I really think it was inspired casting. I think people jumped the gun, just like in 1988, if people were online, if there was an internet, Michael Keaton would have probably never played Batman because of the Beetlejuice is Batman. Who's this?
Mr.
Like,
Mom.
Yeah, just so much hatred because you have to, like, if you're not a behind the scenes person making films, and if you don't understand the process of, like, acting, your opinion is counted, but I don't count it as much. I don't value it as much because you're not actually making those decisions, and if you're not a casting director, then you're not going to see what they saw. Like, you'd never get why Heath Ledger got to be the Joker until you actually see the Joker, and then you're a convert. You're like, he's the best Joker in the world. Right, but you have to let people do their jobs. So sometimes, like, the art of opinion is its own art, and it's a form that all of us have our own opinion, but you have to let the people do their jobs. I think the reason Ben Affleck is Batman is because Snyder, Goyer, Christopher Nolan, and all of the Warner Brothers people really are 100% behind that decision. It's a $1 billion franchise. It's not a light decision, So, granted, whether you like it or not, like all of us, I think, are in agreement. It's like we think it's a cool decision. Some not as
I'm
much
on the
as
fence.
others. Yeah,
I'm
Erin's
on the
fence.
fence.
We're going to tip her over. But I mean, you're welcome to hate all you want, but the decision will ultimately be in 2 years when we're watching Star Wars. We're like, what? I mean, sorry, Superman versus Batman.
You heard it here. Ben Affleck is in Star Wars.
He's Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Ghost version.
Yeah, I'm not jumping up and down going, oh, man, this is the best casting choice ever. But I've got an open mind. We've seen all these other actors that everyone hated on before, and then they turned out great. So, and we haven't even seen a trailer yet or anything, This is a, like,
Or as
knee-jerk
Erin
reaction.
says, we don't have a script yet.
Yeah, I mean
That didn't
that's
stop
my other
squirrels.
thing is that the people that are making this, the people who are involved in this decision-making process as of now know what they're looking for in terms of what they need and what the script is going to be and what the ideas are going to be. And I think that they're more informed than we are to make a decision or to comment on it at this point, which is why one of the first things I said was that we don't know what this movie is going to be about, and we don't know what kind of Batman we're going to see.
Yeah.
If they want
Batman
brooding,
ever
I mean,
cast.
he can brood.
People
the
who are all
town,
hating all the
Argo.
time, all the people who've always been hating on Batman. We got a little shrimpy, whatever. This is the biggest, giantest, tallest Batman physique character ever cast.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Affleck is like 6'4".
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's got a square jaw. Imagine that with Batman. He's going to be Superman's a little tiny.
Well, I mean, Henry Cavill's
Right.
a pretty big dude. I have stood with Cavill a couple of times.
Right.
He's a pretty big dude.
Let's
too.
say I retract tiny.
They're going to look
Yeah.
comparable, I think,
Yeah.
side by side. And that brings us to kind of to the other topic I want to discuss because it's relevant to the discussion. A lot of people are asking online, why didn't they pick Christian Bale? Why didn't they pick Christian Bale? And there was I'm going to call it there was this huge BS report that was going around, and we called it BS, and it was never true, going around recently that Christian Bale was offered $50 million by Warner Brothers. That never happened. That never ever happened. And we know that never happened because there's something very key you have to keep in mind here. In picking any Batman, they could pick anybody. If they were to pick Christian Bale, And I'll tell you right now, they were never going to pick Christian Bale, and here's why. Because in picking Christian Bale, you change the movie entirely. Because this is a different universe than the Christopher Nolan universe. And if you were to say, oh, let's pick Christian Bale, well, then suddenly now you've changed everything about the universe, and you don't do that so you can get one actor. I think that would have been a huge mistake, and Christian Bale knows that. And I think Christian Bale was like, nope, 3 films was enough, time to move on. And Christopher Nolan was like, this was the universe. I didn't want supernatural. And a lot of people forget that Christopher Nolan never wanted magic, superpowers, aliens. He never wanted any of that in his Batman universe, because Batman becomes a little bit diminutive if you suddenly introduce that kind of stuff. He wanted this very reality, very base. So now we have a new universe that Warner Brothers starting. And the moment they made that decision, which was a year ago, it excluded the possibility of bringing Christian Bale back, understandably so. And I think Christian Bale would be the first guy to say it would be a mistake to bring him back. So, I mean, I just thought that was kind of interesting that people are still asking, why not Christian Bale? Because it changes the movie entirely.
I believe Christian Bale is not interested in playing Batman anymore either, right?
I think you're right.
He sealed that coffin a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ben Affleck was, the best choice, but I think it's the most strategic choice, and I definitely think that he has earned our respect. At the very least, if you don't think he's, the perfect Batman, he has proven that he can act, he's an amazing director, he's a better director than actor, and I think that at the very least, he deserves, the benefit of the doubt, because he is a very talented guy. Period.
Benefit, get it?
And let's call spade a spade. I mean, a number of us here are very enthusiastic about the choice. Could he suck? Yes, he could. I mean, this could end up being a disaster. I mean, we don't know, but I think going into it, and we talked about this last night a little bit, as film fans, I see the benefit of this decision going even beyond just the Batman franchise. I think he's a good pick. He wouldn't have been my first pick. Not my first pick, but I'm very happy with it. But as a film fan, why I think this is really great news is, like you were saying, in getting Ben Affleck to agree to be Batman, I guarantee you a part of that deal was, you let me make 4 of my pet projects over the next 10 years. And he is one of the best new directors in Hollywood. So I think we're going to continue to get great films from him as a director. I think he's going to be great on screen as Batman. I think, and everybody knows I love Henry Cavill as Superman, so I think that's a great fit. I thought Zack Snyder did a really good job with Man of Steel. I think there's just a lot of benefits all the way around. But let's talk about, I just said he wouldn't have been my first choice. What are some of the first choices on these couches? So Amirose, let's start with you. Who would have been your first choice to jump in and play Batman?
I really wanted Joe Magdaleno. I think he would have been amazing. Not only does he have the physical appearance and the strength and all that, but he's a really good actor. And I really wanted not Matt Bomer. What the hell is his name? Matthew Good. I thought he would have been spectacular.
Well, and I already know you like
acting chops.
Everybody knows I love Jim Caviezel, and we almost got that Batman Year One, Darren Aronofsky, and I love Darren Aronofsky, so I was kind of hoping maybe it would swing that way, but I'm gonna have to take some time and get over this one, guys.
And Carl Urban. Those are my top 3 right
Did you
there.
have to say that? I was going to say that.
Yeah,
You just took them all.
I wanted Carl Urban, Guy Pearce, or Luke Evans. I thought he would have been good.
Yeah, all 3 would have been really neat.
Yeah, Carl Urban, and then Michael Fassbender. Even though he's Magneto, I was like, because a couple weeks ago I was like, man, maybe they just go a little darker and get because they were aging Batman up. Maybe just don't go with a good-looking guy. Go with a kind of somebody who could play a little more sinister, older Batman. But
he's kind of smaller though, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, the more I think about Ben Affleck, I think that's the best choice.
Yeah.
That I never thought.
Carl Urban would have been epic, and he has that edge that I don't know if Ben Affleck has. So we'll see.
He really does.
The funny thing about Carl Urban, I said on one of our shows once that I love Carl Urban. I do. I think he's fantastic. But I've always said he's a little small from what I want in my Batman, right? And then some people said, John, he's 6'2". How small do you want to be? He's 6'2". Well, then there's this picture of me and Carl Urban. And I am taller than Carl Urban. Carl Urban is not 6'2".
And how tall are you?
I'm just under 6 feet.
Okay.
So Carl Urban ain't 6'2", because you see our eyes in this picture. Our eyes are on the same level, but I'm slouching. I'm like, and Carl's like.
That was so nice of you to do that for him.
I just have bad posture. So we got that out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about this here for a second. Then, in talking about the age. Now, that's another question that's come up that has been resurfaced. Like, people are asking again, like, well, why did they want a 40-year-old Batman? Why did you think that was important? I'll start off with this one. The reason I love the idea of a 40-year-old Batman, and Ben Affleck is actually 41. The reason I love the idea of a 40-year-old Batman is because I wanted him seasoned, I wanted him experienced, I wanted this to be a Batman that has been through some wars, he knows what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. Because if you're talking about now pairing him up with Superman, you know, sometimes if you watch UFC, which Dennis and I are mixed martial arts fanatics, before a fight, they'll run down this huge checklist. Who's got the advantage in speed? This guy. Who's got the advantage in grappling? This guy. Who's got the advantage in striking? This guy. When you put up that list of between Batman and Superman, it's Superman. Who's faster? Who's stronger? Who's got the heat vision? Who's got this?
Invulnerable.
Who's invulnerable? Who's invincible? Who's a godlike being? Blah, 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 blah. You've got to give something to Batman. We can't have a 26-year-old, I'm Batman. Like, I don't want to see one of those Batmans. I want to see a dude who has seen some crap and who knows how to deal with you. You know, that sort of thing. That's the Batman I want.
It does level the playing field a little bit. It
gives at least some advantages to Batman, who is also supposed to be like one of the smartest guys in the DC universe. Yeah. You know, the older you get, the more he's been able to read, the more of the world he's been able to travel, the more stuff he's been able to see.
More training.
He's just smarter than he would have been as a 25 or 26-year-old.
I mean, you know, his whole Batman outfit's going to be synthesized kryptonite. It's going to be like, step forward, son. It's not happening, you know?
It's gonna be great. So, but what would have been some of the advantages? Dennis, let me start with you. What would have been some of the advantages, maybe, of going with a younger Batman? Because sure, there have to be some give and take.
Well, yeah, I mean, with a younger Batman, then you can kind of start off with some of the earlier stories of Batman, and then also, moving forward. I mean, we don't know how many movies that Ben Affleck is signed up for, but with a younger guy, they could have, used him more in the trilogies in Justice League. I don't know how many Justice Leagues he's going to be in. I'm only assuming one, maybe two, Well,
that's something we talked about yesterday, which is like when you sign on someone, I mean, it was more so just about like trilogies and just shoot all three Batmans. Like let him do Batman, Superman, or Superman, Batman, whatever it's going to be called. Then have someone write 3 amazing scripts and shoot them all back to back when Ben Affleck's 43. Don't make him put the Batman suit on when he's 50.
Like Avatar?
Yeah. Just do it all. Get them all. Shoot them all. Like, people make television series. You get 22 hours in a year. Let's get 3 movies shot in a year.
I don't know. Did you see Mel Gibson at 57, yo?
No, I know. You're right.
No, that's a very valid point. Like, a lot of people I've been saying online, like, wait a minute, like in 10 years he's going to be 50. And guess what? He's going to be one badass looking 50-year-old.
That's right.
Because you look at the 57-year-old Mel Gibson.
Right.
The guy is a beast.
That's insane.
So take 7 years off that. And you've got the Gibson cannons, and now you've got Ben, who's been in that role for now 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Right.
He's only gotten bigger, and he's really fit into the role. He's still athletic, whatever. I have no problem with this. I think this is great. Could he be Batman for 15 years? Maybe not, but how many guys play a character for 15 years? Everybody will say, well, Hugh Jackman. Okay, yeah, Hugh Jackman. Great, you named one.
Harrison Ford, he's been Indiana Jones for like 98 years or whatever. I don't even remember anymore.
I'm just waiting for old man Batman. We can just have like an old...
That's called The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they're not going to do the origin story.
Yes.
Which is why I am happy with 40. Like, we've
Yes.
seen that, and Nolan did such an incredible job. So
Right.
I'm glad that it's like you were saying, he's seen some crap. He's seasoned. He's doing his thing, height of his craft, and then all of a sudden Superman comes along, this little dweeb in his eyes, and we're going to watch the showdown, and then they'll eventually hug it out, and we're going to get the Justice League.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be great.
Now, obviously, the biggest question in my head since the announcement last night is, who's going to be Robin?
Oh my God.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
John, you are bringing on the haters.
Matt Damon?
Yeah, everyone keeps saying Matt Damon.
Matt Damon is Robin.
You're going to get that one guy, ass clown, with the garbage can. Why are you hating on Robin?
All right, so I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Am I missing anything like big significant aspect of this story that we should be talking about?
That the young Batman, we're missing out on all that young adult Twilighty Batman stuff that could have happened. That could have happened. Now we don't have to have
Yeah,
that.
Pattinson would have been a
Sparkles in the
great
sunlight.
Batman.
You know what's funny too is when I think about the casting choices, I think about the older versus the newer. I didn't like any of the younger actors that seemed to be in the running, at least in the fan communities that we were all talking about. Like Armie Hammer, no. Gosling, no. Like all these younger actors, I just didn't want to see as Batman, and I'm really excited that they went the opposite direction.
I kind of agree with you. My one exception to that probably would have been Gosling, just because I think he is a phenomenal
We've seen
talent.
Dark
He's
out of that one.
Amazing
We've
actor.
seen really Dark out of
And
him,
he
and
can
he
kick
can
ass.
be physically big, but
Yeah.
I wasn't excited about
agree.
Gosling as Batman. You're right. All the best choices, like whether it was a Josh Brolin, and I don't personally like Josh Brolin that
I'm
much, but
much
a lot of
happier
people
Affleck.
did. A lot of people wanted John Hamm. A lot of people wanted
Who'd been good?
Yeah.
Carl Urban.
Those are all
You know,
good
It was
choices.
all, and even when people were saying, no, we want a younger Batman, in the back of their heads, they knew the best
Right.
Batman would be one of these more seasoned looking guys.
And you know, I remember reading multiple times, get Clint Eastwood. It's like, leave him alone.
Clint Eastwood.
Leave him alone.
He's talking to empty
Yeah,
chairs,
he
man.
can barely walk. He's old. He's really old. Don't be like talking about him as the Dark Knight Returns. Just stop
He's
it.
83.
Can
Let's
we
kill
talk
that
about
forever.
for a second what a gangster Ben Affleck is really? 2-time Academy Award winner. He's now Batman. He's married to Jennifer Gardner.
Hello.
He's a great director. I mean, you're kind of crushing life, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was also Daredevil already.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
In the Game of Life,
I'm not going to hate on Daredevil. The director's cut's good, guys. Just watch the director's cut of Daredevil.
Thank goodness his acting chops have improved since then. Let's just say that.
I'm just surprised that Coolio is in both Daredevil, the director's cut, and Batman and Robin. That's, let's not leave that little sparkling thing out.
He's the real Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's wrap this thing up, and Schnepp, we'll start with you. Let's just sum up what you think are why people should be optimistic and where we should be cautious as film fans right now.
I think as film fans, for the Superman versus Batman, the pick on Ben Affleck, him being Batman, the good thing is we know Goyer and Snyder are going to bring about the whole Zod issue.
Yeah.
We know that Superman versus Batman is going to be about moral codes. And a lot of people always like, Superman has this moral code. In this new version of Superman, he's been Superman for 18 hours. He just put
Before he
the
had to
blue suit
fight
on,
Zod, yeah.
did the greatest American hero, flippy floppy, and then he gets arrested. Then he has to destroy all of Metropolis. But give him a break. He's just been Superman for a day. Batman's been Batman in this new world for years. As far as how I'm imagining it, if he's older than Superman, he's been Batman. There's already been other superheroes, maybe not as well known, or look, there's a guy flying around and destroying Metropolis or whatever. But the moral code issue is going to be brought up. Does Superman have a moral code? No. He's an alien from a different planet. He was brought up by his parents in Smallville, so that's the code of ethics that he has. Thou shalt not kill, I'm sure, is one of them. So he's going to be, bumming out that he killed the last Kryptonian to save the rest of the planet Earth, because that's basically the movie. That's what happened.
Right.
Whether you like it or not, that's what happened. Batman does have a moral code because of him seeing his parents killed in front of his own eyes. His vengeance on criminals is bringing them to justice and making them pay. And making them pay is paying in jail, not killing them.
Right.
So I think that's going to be brought about. Maybe Batman is the vengeance on Superman for all of Metropolis. Who knows? That's going to play out, and having someone of Ben Affleck's acting ability and caliber is going to be really important, I think. Not just as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, the billionaire who might be fighting to rebuild Metropolis. Maybe he's going to be against Lex Luthor, also a billionaire, fighting over building Metropolis. Who knows
Bryan
the
Cranston.
storylines, So, yeah, I think those are the pros. I don't see that many cons, Honestly, I don't, so...
Dennis, reasons to be optimistic, reasons to be a little hesitant.
I mean, optimistic. I think he's a really good actor. I mean, let's start with that, and because not most people, but some people can't get over his past work. And sometimes people don't understand, especially people not in the industry, that sometimes people take acting gigs for different reasons. Whether to for money or for more fame or anything like that, or to position themselves to get better stuff. So a lot of people are judging him on things that he may have done in the past that weren't that great. But I think he's a really good actor. I think as far as Bruce Wayne, I think he can pull that off. I'm not worried about that. Batman, that's where I'm a little more worried in terms of the intimidation factor and that type of thing. Physically, yeah, he has it, but I'm just more concerned about how people view him when he's tracking down criminals or something like that. Also, another hesitation, and it has not really anything to do with Ben Affleck. I like Zack Snyder. I think he's a good director. He's not as good as Chris Nolan.
Right.
But people don't understand.
Or Ben Affleck, as it turns out.
But people don't understand, like, sometimes when really good actors maybe give bad performances, it's not that they're bad actors. Sometimes the direction maybe doesn't fit. Maybe that's not even a bad director. It's just something's not right in that production process.
Right.
So that's another concern of mine.
Erin?
Well, for me, I guess on the pro side, he's the age range that I want in a Batman, that I want to see in this film. And he's talented. People can't say that he's not talented. And I trust that he will be able to pull a performance out that's good, that's engaging, that's interesting for all of us. And I'm sure with the help of Zack Snyder that he'll get there. And for that reason, I will give him the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit.
On the opposite side, I really wanted someone else in that role. So for me, this was kind of a surprising piece of news to receive. But at the same time, this happens every day in Hollywood. Our hopes and our dreams are just crushed. And today it's me. And it's okay. I'll get over it.
Dream crusher. That was you last time, right?
That was you. That's right.
John Schnepp's nickname.
My biggest pros are definitely that he's an incredible director and writer. My biggest problems with Man of Steel, and granted, I loved the movie. I thought it was definitely one of my favorite renditions of The Last Son of Krypton, but my issues were with the script. And I think the fact that Affleck is an amazing writer and director and a talented actor, that he will have his finger on the pulse of this production. He's not just going to be, taking direction and doing that. He's going to have input. And I really, admire his vision for filmmaking. So I definitely think that he'll bring something to it. Definitely, I like the age range. I like all of that as well. That edge factor that I really have not seen in him. And it's not to discredit his talent, because I loved him in The Town and I loved him in all his more recent work, but he just doesn't have that edge. But again, I believe in his talent enough that I think he could show me he has it with the right opportunity like Batman. On the other end of the spectrum, I kind of touch on the edge factor, and I think there's more positives than cons in this, and I believe in him and his abilities enough that I'm willing to, but it just goes back to that edge and the intimidation factor that you kind of touched on. While he might be a beast, I don't know if he was running up, I don't know if he has that, even though Christian Bale's voice went a little wonky that some might feel that way, he still had that factor, that edge to him. So we'll see what happens, but I believe enough in his talent and ability that I think he's going to be a solid Batman.
On the upside for me, Ben Affleck is an Academy Award-winning writer. He's an Academy Award-winning director. And Zack Snyder, from everybody who I've talked to that have worked with him, Zack Snyder is a guy who loves collaborating with the people who are working with him. And that in that case, now you've got this filmmaking team that not only has just added a talented star, but added a world-class writer and director, an Academy Award-winning writer and director to this creative team. Now, Zack Snyder is still going to be in charge. This is going to be his direction, but from everybody that I've talked to, Snyder loves collaborating.
Good.
He loves sitting down with the people he's working with and take input and whatever. And you've just got one of the best directors in the world right now working with you. So I think that's a great upside. He's physically fine. He's the closest thing to the physical Batman I've always wanted. He's a good 50 pounds bigger than Christian Bale. He's a good 4 inches bigger than Christian Bale. So on that side, it's great. So there's a lot of things about it. I think he's a very good actor. I still think Changing Lanes, which he starred in with Samuel L. Jackson, I think is his best performance. I'm just floored by his performance in that movie. You should check it out if you haven't seen it, because I know most people haven't seen it. But he's been great in all the movies he's been in recently. I think he's a really solid talent. I think in The Town showed us he can play the dark, more intimidating, a little more pain behind the eyes kind of guy. So I see a lot of upside there. On the downside, I still believe that overall Christian Bale, who we are just coming off of, and it's going to be difficult to avoid. Maybe it's unfair to do comparisons, but it's going to be difficult to avoid them. Christian Bale overall is a better actor, I think overall. Yeah. But there's very, very, very few people that we could have slotted in as the next Batman that we could say, oh, that guy's as good of an actor or better actor than Christian Bale. He's an Academy Award-winning actor. That's a tall order to fill. So I think that's going to be one of the potential downsides, but I think they can make it up. Other than that, that's the only really downside I see.
I just always see Ben Affleck in the roles, you know? I always see a bit of Ben Affleck. He's a good actor, but I always see a bit of him. I want him to really transform. That's what I'm waiting for.
I think he's going to be a badass Batman.
I hope
think he's
so.
going to he's going to surprise a lot of people. I'm sure he had to do the costume test. Every single
I'm
person
sure.
who's been a superhero has had to do it. They had to put the costume on, run some film, do a couple
Do the
shots.
voice.
It's all about the square jaw,
do their
though.
Batman version, and I'm sure
He's
when
got,
he did
he's
his,
got that
yeah,
ironclad
I think that they
square
were like,
jaw.
oh my god, I'm sure he transformed.
He's gonna go opposite and go a high pitched voice.
Yeah. I'm Batman. Yeah. And
Fear me.
I think he's gonna play. He's gonna probably play a really kind of
Dennis,
a cool
I love you.
Adam Westy Bruce Wayne. I think he's gonna have that suave kind of fun Bruce Wayne, and then when he becomes Batman, he's gonna be vengeance.
You know whose Bruce Wayne I really like? This is going to sound really odd because I hate almost everything else about the movie. I liked Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne.
I did too.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I like the way he carried
suave.
himself and all
Yeah.
that. I really liked
I
his
think
Bruce
Guy
Wayne.
Pearce would have been kind of like that. He has
I
that suave,
agree.
you know?
And then on the opposite side, a very, very different Bruce Wayne, who I also really liked. I like George Clooney's Bruce Wayne, even though I detested everything else about that movie.
No.
As
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, he
I
kind
didn't like him.
I still kind of see Bruce Wayne when I see George Clooney. Maybe that's just me.
I see red and hatred when I think of Batman and Robin. Sorry.
You see bat nipples.
Freeze,
Oh my
chill.
God.
Just things run through my mind I can't ever forget.
I'm still holding on to the high-pitched Batman voice. Freeze!
Fear me.
I'm Batman.
Intimidating for a whole nother set of reasons.
All right, folks. Well, I guess I think we've covered all the ground. Look, we would love to hear your thoughts. So jump on down into the comment section, and hey, go on out and see your next AMC theaters tonight.
Yeah, there's some new movies playing. It's Friday. I don't know what movie you're going to see, but I know what movie I'm going to see.
You know what else is opening? I want to mention this. It's because I'm really excited about it. World's End, the new Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost film is opening tonight in AMC theaters, and I'm actually Erin's coming with me. We're actually going to be at the AMC Century City tonight, and I'm going to be doing a Q&A with Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost tonight.
They are so fun.
Following the screening of the film. They are such fun guys. I'm really looking forward to that. Well, that will do it for us. I want to thank John Schnepp, Dennis Zen, Erin Darling, Amirose, Eisenbach. We missed having Crystal Lee here, but she's off doing good AMC work for us. Thank you guys, for joining us today. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Hey, if you haven't done it already, click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news. And of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk Show and our weekend AMC Mailbag Show. So thanks a lot for joining us. My name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. And until Monday, bye-bye.